may tell women to basically take their panties off, but you do it in a very
classy way.
It's polite raunch.
I've always been interested in great storytelling, great filmmaking.
Fresh Prince or Martin?
I'm going to say I loved Martin a little bit more than Fresh Prince.
You have released your single, Bigger Love.
Yes.
Yeah, and I saw it on your Instagram page. Very uplifting, very bright. Also a bop. So
it's also a bop.
Also a bop, very important.
It's crazy because we had a plan, I've been writing the album since most of it was written last year. A few songs were written before that, and a couple songs were written this year. But most of it, the meat of it was written in 2019. So we didn't know, I never even heard of COVID-19 at the time. And we didn't know what was going to happen. But Bigger Love was the name of the tour. It was always going to be a single. It was always going to be the name of the album. And then it turns out that it feels so needed and inspiring during this dark time. We need something to dance to. We need something to inspire us. And I love how kind of global the song sounds. It has African influence and Caribbean influence. And it just feels like this is the perfect moment for that song. But this was actually the plan beforehand. This was going to be hopefully a big single right around when the album comes out. It's coming out in the late spring. And like I said, it's the name of the tour, name of the album. So we always wanted this to be a major song from the album, but it feels even more important and meaningful right now.
So what's your favorite part about this particular album? You don't have to necessarily give me a favorite song, but what did you enjoy most about making this album?
This album is so fun. It's crazy because it's coming out in this dark time, but the album really is fun. It's sexy. I think it's both my most danceable album and my sexiest album. It's got like true, like good songs for the bedroom, like that I think we can make some Corona babies with. and it's got some really good bops that are like really danceable and fun. And it's colorful, it's soulful, it's got a lot of different influences. And I'm really excited for people to hear it.
Well, the one thing I've always enjoyed about listening to you is that you may tell women to basically take their panties off, but you do it in a very
classy way.
Like classily get naked, classily, whatever. So, yes. So I've always appreciated the fact that it's polite raunch.
The first song on the album actually kind of almost is the perfect manifestation of what you're talking about. It's called Ooh La, and the whole conceit of the song is that Ooh La is talking about,
Is that a euphemism?
Yes, it's a euphemism.
Ooh.
And the beat is a blend of doo-wop and trap. So it's like the perfect manifestation of me being classy raunchy. in one song.
You are a little sophisticated. I have to say. Like, you are definitely fit the bill for sophisticated.
And it's definitely going to be both a bop you can dance to and something to make a Corona baby with. So I think you enjoy it. I don't know if you and your new husband got plans for that, but
well, thank you for at least helping us set the mood. I mean, I think most people have theorized that out of this, there's either going to be a lot of babies or a lot of divorces. So probably both. a little bit of both, right? Which one of those are you closer to, another baby or divorce?
I think another baby we're closer to. I think we're doing well in this. The kids, I think, are a good distraction. So you don't have to just be. For you two, it's just you two.
Right.
But for us, the kids entertain us. We got other things going on in the house. So, we don't have to be on top of each other every second. But, I think that is a challenge for a lot of couples because you're used to going to work, you're used to having other distractions. And, this is a real test to make sure y'all really do get along like you thought you did.
Well, at least we had sort of good training because I got married in November of 2019, and then we went on a honeymoon for a month.
Yes.
So on the honeymoon, like we were clearly together
Yeah.
every single day,
Yeah.
no breaks. So we were sort of already used to it. Other people have noted this, and I'm going to ask you if this has been your experience. Do you notice that you have to, maybe if you're going to argue or disagree, like you have to do it a little bit differently because you're trapped in the house together?
I feel like you want to resolve it more quickly because it's like you can't just be because you can't walk away. It's like you got to resolve it more quickly so you can live with each other. So I think that's what I think we've actually had more healthy arguments in this situation because you just got to get through it and you can't like ignore it because you're there, you know?
Well, hopefully, you mentioned distractions. Hopefully, that you were as pleasantly distracted as the rest of us when it came to the Teddy Riley babyface battle.
The best part is reading people's commentary on it because
Yeah, the memes and
sometimes,
everything.
yeah, with the kids, like I can't always pay full attention to the actual battle, but I'm able to like read what people were writing on Twitter, seeing screen grabs of what people were commenting in the live feed, and then so I don't get to see all of the actual battle, but I see enough so I know what's going on. And the commentary is just some of the funniest stuff that like Black Twitter is undefeated when it comes to stuff like that because it's just we just make the best of all these different situations and make jokes out of all these situations, and it's just so fun to watch.
Yeah, it felt at first a lot of people were understandably let down when it was that first misfire. And depending on when
Yeah.
you tuned in yesterday, because that's
There were some
maybe
misfires
there's
yesterday
some
too.
misfires yesterday, right?
Yeah.
I think Teddy Riley is still out the room, but it was still able. It's the lightest moment I think that there's been on social media since this quarantine started for most
Yeah.
people. So for that, I was essentially grateful, but this has been a thing where you see different people go at it with, I think, who was it, RZA and DJ Premier? Like this whole battle thing is like a thing.
Yeah.
What's your, as an artist, what's your take on whether or not this battle thing, like where it's going and what it is?
I love it. I love it because it's a celebration of our culture. It's a celebration of our history. And it's fun and it's funny sometimes and it's nostalgic. Like I'm of the age where all these songs were important, you know, growing up as a fan, but also as a musician. And to see these different artists reminding us of all the great work that they've done over the years, all the great people they've collaborated with, it's been beautiful. I think it's so good for the culture. And what I love about Black people is I feel like we always find ways to make the most of uh, these situations. Even when we're disproportionately being affected by this disease, even when we're losing community members, we make the most of these types of situations. And I think we've been, you know, we've had so much experience, you know, making great art through struggle. And I think we're prepared and well equipped as artists and as a community to make the most of the situation.
So who you got? Babyface and Teddy Riley?
Babyface. I mean, I'm partial to Babyface.
That makes sense.
Partly because I was more of a Babyface fan growing up, even though I really loved Blackstreet and I really loved Guy and all the stuff Teddy did with everybody else. We used to sing. I was in boy groups when I was younger, so like we would sing Jodeci, we would sing Boys to Men, but we would also sing Guy and Blackstreet, and those were like really inspiring groups for us, and they made music that was really important for us. But all of them did. Like all of these guys that are battling, like all of them contributed so much to the culture. Some songs we didn't even know that they were behind, and I think it's great to celebrate their work and come together as a community like this. It's been really, really, really dope.
So I got a proposal. I think you need to jump in on the battle. All right.
You know, I thought about it because I thought if me and Alicia did something,
Ooh.
I thought we could do it as a dueling pianos thing where we sang on the piano live back and forth. I think that would be cooler than us trying to drop beats because we got a lot of ballads, we got a lot of this and that. It might be cool to just do it on the piano. So that's an idea. I'll float it with Swizz and see what he thinks, but that's an idea.
It's funny because the person I actually thought of, and more of a sing-off, and I think this is where R&B, like artists like yourself, kind of have this advantage as opposed to just playing the songs that you've done, that you could actually sing some of them. You versus Maxwell.
Oh, that'd be cool too. Yeah, I love. It's funny because I feel like R&B artists by nature, we're like battle. That's weird. Why would we battle them?
Right.
Because it's such a hip hop thing, the idea of battling, and we really, honestly, I don't feel like artists, like our main role is not to be the most sing-off friendly artist. Like our main role is to make dope music, and being a good singer is part of making dope music, but it's not the only thing that's part of it. It's like being a good writer, being a good instrumentalist, being a good performer. And so the idea of battling as singers, it's like, I don't know, it feels a little off, but why not?
But you versus Alicia Keys is great because you guys both play the piano. So
I think we could call it a dueling pianos thing. Like that would be interesting. We toured together years ago. At the beginning of my career, I opened for her back in 2005, and that's still one of my favorite tours I've been on. And it was such an important tour for me. And we've collaborated, written together over the years, and I have so much respect for her. I think that would be fun.
So speaking of that, so the first time I ever saw you in concert, you were with one of my favorite artists ever, in the top 5 for sure. And she's not 5, Sade.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So
that was back in 2011.
That was back in 2011, right? Yeah. And so you came to Orlando, and I was living in Orlando at the time. I have this theory that Sade is actually a hologram because I can't really believe she's real. Because
she's real. I've hugged her.
You hugged Sade. So yes. What was it like to be on tour with her?
Oh, it was magical. She really is such an amazing presence, and she does have this kind of otherworldly energy on stage. They beautifully directed the show. I think Sophie Mueller was in charge of the whole visual presentation of the show, which I thought was beautiful. And so many songs that mean so much to so many people. And to hear that every night was such a blessing.
Yeah. I mean, when you're talking to Sade, like, what do you talk about? Does she talk about shit like the weather? Like, what is a conversation with Sade like?
She's normal, she has kids. You talk about family. Her kids were around a lot on the tour, and we all, like, all of our bands and everybody got along really well. It was like really family vibes on the tour, and everybody was super cool. Sometimes when you're early in your career, you open for artists, there can be some tension, because sometimes they're like, you get over there, don't use our equipment, get away. But her team was just like super friendly, super welcoming, and we treated each other like family the whole time.
I guess the reason I joked about her being a hologram, because I don't know if this woman is 20 or 50 or she could be 130. Like, she's literally looked the same.
She's looked the same my for the entire whole time. Life. Yeah. The
whole time. And I appreciate anybody who does a two-step as well developed as Sade. Because when you go see Sade, you are going to hear her sing. Like, you're not, like, she ain't no pyrotechnics. She's not like how Beyonce does. She's not walking on water, because I saw Beyonce literally do that. None of that. It's like you and these songs, and that's it. Meanwhile, you get loose because I was fearful the many times you jumped on your piano. Like, you was wilding, okay? I think don't let people who haven't seen you should not get fooled by the ballads. Like, you bring it when you're performing.
I think people don't realize that because my most famous songs have been Ordinary People and All of Me. And so they think that they're just going to go see a show of all of that and nothing else. But if you ever buy my albums and listen to the whole thing, or download my albums or stream or whatever now, you realize that there's quite a diversity of vibes on the album. And even though I'm probably best at making ballads, that there's a lot of diversity and a lot of dynamics on the album as well. And so when you come to the show, we do all of it. And so we get loose sometimes, and sometimes I'm just sitting there by myself on the piano, but hopefully you get a full experience from seeing the show.
Yeah, and definitely hope we'll see you soon. Got a lot more I want to definitely talk to you about. We're going to take a quick break because I will definitely want to ask you about Drawn Arms, a new project you're working on. And like a lot of people currently, I've been watching the Atlanta child murders, and I did not know that Get Lifted, your production company, was involved with that. And I'm the nerd that reads the credits. And so I was looking at the credits. I was like, wait a minute, I had no idea. So we'll talk about that. And some of the other exciting things you're doing on the content end. Be back in a moment. More with John Legend on Jemele Hill is Unbothered. As the reigning sexiest man alive, do you feel more pressure to stay in shape? As an artist, I know that's always the case, but now you got to represent a little bit more. You sexiest man alive.
I'll be glad when it's over and they move on to somebody. But I feel like the pressure that I would feel to live up to for that is the same as, I want to look good in my suits, and I want to look good on stage, and I want to look good on The Voice. So it's the same pressure.
Now, we were talking a little earlier about, what it's like to be a couple under these circumstances. Have you learned anything about Chrissy that you didn't know before because you guys are stuck together? I didn't want to say stuck, but because you're together all the time.
I don't know if I've learned anything new because we really know each other very well. We started dating in 2006. We've been on extended vacations, kind of like your honeymoon, where you're together with nothing else to do for like a month. There's really not much I could learn about her at this point. We've been in therapy together. We know each other very well.
Is there anything you've learned about yourself?
I always knew I liked to work, but I definitely miss working, I think I'm finding ways to work from home, but I miss, being out there with people and the collaborative aspect of what I do. And we can do a lot of it from home, but there's something about that human interaction that is just not the same in this process. And you never miss those things until you're not able to do them. And I definitely miss them.
Yeah. Well, along with, singing, I don't know. I have a production company. I don't know if this has been the same for you because you also have one, Get Lifted, is that even though the world has stopped to some degree, the content arm of things has not stopped at all.
Yeah.
And Get Lifted is doing a lot of really amazing work. What made you want to get into this part of the entertainment industry where you're creating and producing content for people?
So I was an English major in college. I've always been interested in great storytelling, great filmmaking. And then as a musician, you start to collaborate with filmmakers as a musician. So my early collaborations with filmmakers were writing songs for films and being involved in the marketing of the films because I wrote songs for them. And my team started to notice that I had influence in these circles and I had a lot of relationships built up. And we figured it'd be really powerful and cool if we were able to help influence the business by getting stories out there that we believed in and working with filmmakers that we believed in. And so we started our production company as a partnership between me, a guy named Mike Jackson that I've been friends with since right after I graduated college, and then our other friend, Ty Stick-Glorious, who I went to college with. And we know each other's tastes very well. We're all three English majors, love good stories, love good storytelling. And we all have a sense that the world could stand to hear more from our perspective. And we all have good relationships in the business with writers, screenwriters, directors, filmmakers. And we were like, let's come together, form a company, and put out some cool content. We wanted it to be elevated. We wanted it to be entertaining. We wanted it to be commercially viable and provocative.
Yeah, as I mentioned a bit ago, I knew some of the stuff that you were involved in, but it caught me by surprise when I was watching the HBO docuseries, Atlanta's Missing and Murdered, The Lost Children, which is about the Atlanta child murders.
Yeah.
A story I remember at the time, but I was also around that age, so I
Yeah.
didn't really, it didn't, of course, and living in Detroit, that didn't obviously impact me the same way because they're right there in that community. How did you guys become a production partner in this?
Well, a lot of times we get pitched projects by filmmakers who are working on something, and they believe that us being involved will help it get made, help it get funded, help it get sold. And so the same thing happened with this. And I didn't know that much about the story. I was alive during that time, but I was pretty young. I was growing up in Ohio, and I just didn't really know much about it. But the more I read about it, it was just an intriguing subject. And I love true crime stories. I've loved a lot of these series that have explored these cases that, um, the resolution of the cases has been suspicious and seem to be wrought with inconsistencies and possible injustice. And I think those stories are interesting and they're worth being told. And I think it's important that we also tell them about missing Black kids, because I feel like so many of these stories we see don't center Black folks as victims worthy of consideration. And I think it's important that we tell stories about our loss and our trauma and the value that our kids have in our communities, because a lot of stories that we see in this area don't center our people.
Mm. And that mentality kind of goes in line with another project that you're heavily involved with, Drawn Arms, which is, I
Yeah.
believe, the story of Tommy Smith.
Yeah, it's about
Who,
Tommy Smith, who was one of the athletes that raised a fist in celebration of Black Power and in protest of what was going on in America at that time to Black people. And he was, condemned and ostracized, and it's kind of a precursor to Colin Kaepernick in so many ways. And obviously, because of Kaepernick's story, because of all the fallout that happened from that, I think that Tommy Smith as an inspiration and as a precursor to what Colin did, I think is really a powerful story and one worth being told. And it's really a powerful story following up with him to see, where his life has gone since then and the sacrifices that he made in a really challenging time.
Tommy, I've been on a couple panels with him,
Yeah.
and I think the part that now, we treat everybody heroically and or treat him heroically and John Carlos as well, who was on that podium stand with him. And nobody really understands what happened once they got home. And
Yeah.
I think I was ecstatic to read that you were doing this project, because that's the component of this that people need to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to some degree, we have this habit in America of worshiping people kind of in the moment and not really seeing how something fully impacts their lives. Like, we're doing all this understandably and deservedly so. Like, we're just lionizing and a lot of praise being showered on our medical professionals now, those on the front lines, as there should be. My fear is that will happen, and the attention on the healthcare part and the inequity and what led to this will be ignored, and we'll focus on the cheering, and we'll see them at eventually when we're at sporting events and stuff, and we'll see them recognized at half times and
Yeah.
pre-shows. The same thing happened with 9/11. It's like, oh, we saw it there, but we're not going to address some of the things that actually led to that actually happening. So for you to
Yeah.
be able to tell the story of Tommy, I think telling the complete story is very important.
And also, he wasn't even celebrated in the time. We have to realize that in some ways, the reverse happens with a lot of activists where they're lionized after they die. We've seen that with Martin Luther King, even. I think everybody kind of assumes he was celebrated and loved back then, but his popularity was underwater. Like, he was more hated than he was loved in America in that moment. And so we have to realize that when people quote Dr. King now, when they talk about his legacy, they make it seem like he was this like lovable teddy bear that everyone loved at the time and everyone celebrated. But he was an enemy of the state at the time. The FBI was bugging him and trying to get him to commit suicide. He was unpopular in America, and he was killed before he turned 40 years old. He was not a universally beloved figure, and it was a huge sacrifice for him to be out in the forefront so boldly fighting for justice for us. And the same is the case with Tommy Smith. He was celebrated by some, he inspired a lot of people, but that was an unpopular act for him to do that. And he came back home to a lot of hate. And we have to realize that when we honor these folks, that they put a lot of sacrifice in to do these bold acts of standing up to injustice. And we have to do a better job of, in the moment, appreciating their work and celebrating them and protecting them. I think we've tried to do that with Colin. A lot of folks have. He still doesn't have a job in the NFL, but I think he's been also really beloved by a lot of folks in America and respected, and he's inspired a lot of folks in America. And I think that's mitigated some of the fallout for him as well. But he definitely paid a price.
Yeah, isn't it interesting how Tommy Smith and Colin Kaepernick are seen as unpatriotic, but yet people out here protesting to get their fucking haircut are considered the real patriots?
Yeah, and they're out there. Not only are they out there protesting, but they're out there with military-style guns. Colin literally went on his knees out of respect and out of kind of reverence for our veterans and our, and trying to be as respectful to society and to this nation as possible while still protesting. And these idiots are out here with guns and just terrorizing their communities because they disagree with the governors of their state. And they tell us we need to be more respectful when we protest, but they don't really believe that. They just want us to shut up.
Yeah, pretty much. You've always been somebody who's, or at least through most of your career, but just in general, you've always been really comfortable expressing how you feel socially, politically. Why was it important for you to use your platform to bring attention to issues like what we just discussed, even the work you're doing with COVID-19? You do a ton of charity work, speaking. Why was it important for you to be more than just an artist?
To me, that was part of what being an artist was, even when I was young. I looked up to Stevie Wonder. I looked up to so many great artists that also were leading movements, and excuse me. And so for me, if you define what being an artist was as a public figure, as someone who had influence in the world, I would never separate that from also speaking out about how the world needs to be a better place, how it can be more loving, how it can be more just, how we can make it more beautiful together. And so to me, that's just part of who I am as an artist. But also, I think I'm particularly political. Like, I grew up reading about justice movements. I grew up reading about leaders, and I grew up interested in history and politics. And so part of it's just my own personal interest. Like, I like this stuff. I'm interested in this stuff. I read about it all the time, and I have opinions. And what does Twitter exist for if not for us to put our takes out there?
I know.
Honestly, though, so, I'm in a position of influence, and I feel like I can help shape the conversation and help people think about things that they may not have thought about before. And I read about these things and care about these things so much that I couldn't waste that position, couldn't waste that influence and just shut up and sing. I gotta talk about it.
Did you, or have you ever felt as if your opinions and even your support of political candidates do you feel like it's ever cost you professionally?
I'm sure there's some cost, but I think there's also some benefit, and it might offset each other, honestly, for me. Because as an artist, part of what people love about an artist is their authenticity. They love if they have a point of view that they feel is honest and justified and comes from a good place, a true place. I think that makes them love the artist more. And so I think I've probably won fans, excuse me, I probably won some fans because they feel like they respect the fact that I step out and speak out about these things. But also, there are certainly people that are like, I'll never go to his concert because he hates Trump and I love Trump and I love all of me, but I don't want to go see him perform it and give him money because he's spoken out against the president that I love. I'm sure there's somebody out there like that. Some people don't care as much. They vote differently from you, but they still want to listen to your music. And then there are probably a few, like I said, that are like, I'll never buy his albums again. And that's just the price you have to pay. But I think it's offset by the fact that a lot of people like the fact that I'm honest. Like a lot of people like the fact that I speak out for the little person that, may not be heard otherwise. And they think that makes me cooler in their mind and makes them want to buy my music more. So I think it probably balances out.
I have a hard time imagining MAGA folks gigging the green light. That's just me. They're just not that cool.
Part of it is we're lucky as Black artists, that us speaking out against Trump probably isn't losing us a lot of fans because they probably weren't buying our music anyway. But I do recognize that for a country artist, it's probably more of a conundrum, because their core audience may disagree with them on a lot of things politically if they are more progressive as individuals, but are operating in a genre where a lot of their fans are not. And I know, I personally know country artists that are more progressive individually and how they vote and how they think about the world, but I think they have more challenge projecting that out to the public because if they lose the fans that are voting for Trump, then they're losing a lot of their core fans. Whereas for me, I'm not dealing with the same sacrifice when it comes to that.
So you were very vocal about your support of Elizabeth Warren, a candidate I also voted for in the primary. When you look at her campaign and everything that happened, what is your assessment of why do you think she did not become the front runner or the eventual Democratic nominee?
I think the overriding feeling I got was people wanted to feel comfortable and safe with their pick. And they wanted to feel like they could beat Trump. And they figured, I think a lot of people figured that picking a woman would be a challenge in going against Trump. I think a lot of people figured picking a very progressive candidate would be a challenge in going against Trump. And they kind of fled to safety and comfort and the person they knew better. And we saw a lot of that in the Black community because Biden got a huge portion of the Black vote. And I don't begrudge Black folks for being conservative with a small c in the sense of saying, we know this person, we know white people in this country, and we're afraid that anything too risky, they won't vote for. So let's go with something that feels a little safer, and we need to beat Trump, and we can't risk it with a more risky choice.
So the irony of you saying that, which is all true, by the way, is that I think a lot of people were afraid to take a risk because they were projecting and thinking about, okay, who really can beat Trump?
And they're projecting what other people might vote for.
And they're projecting what other people might vote for. Because I do think a lot of Black people did it with the intention. It's not that we're so overly loyal to the Democratic Party or even to Joe Biden himself, but we were just thinking we need to save these white people from themselves. The problem with that is that the poll, it was a poll release, I believe yesterday, that showed that over 50%, somewhere between 54 and 56% of white people support Donald Trump. So my thinking has always been, fuck these Trump supporters. That's really honestly has been my thinking. It's like, fuck them. They gon' if they want to, y'all want to be down with a bigot, be down with a bigot. I don't care. So you're allowed to vote how you want to vote. Focus more on expanding the electorate, speaking to Black voters, like Black working class voters, Black rural voters, Black Midwesterners, as you and I are, John, because a lot of, you listen to the media and you would swear that the only people who live in the Midwest are fucking white people.
Exactly.
Black people actually live there too.
We live there too.
Yeah, so focus on expanding the electorate, appealing to those voters, get the ones, you have a much better chance. I mean, just think about this. Don't you have a much better chance of getting out the people who voted for Obama in 2012, who stayed home in 2016, than you do converting a Trump supporter? You probably do. That's what I'm guessing, right?
Yes.
So it doesn't make any sense to vote in a way that you think white people will come around on this particular candidate, because they wasn't coming around. And as much as we keep trying to bang our head against the wall and make sense with people who don't make sense, let them people be. And they just will have to come around eventually when it's time to come around, when it's a new president, hopefully.
Well, I would just complicate that slightly. I do believe absolutely that we need to make sure we motivate our core voters to show up, give them something to be excited about, give them a reason to vote, to feel like their vote's going to matter and their vote will actually make change happen. And for too long, I think we've just been tinkering around the edges and hoping that we just kind of stay normal. And I truly believe that with this COVID-19 crisis, it's exposing even more of the weaknesses of the underpinning of our American society. And we're seeing more reasons why we should be bold on reforming our healthcare system, more reasons why we should be bold on improving the safety net, and making sure that essential workers have a minimum wage, a living wage that reflects how essential they are. So all of these things that are being exposed by this crisis, I think should push us to be even more bold and progressive in the way we think about reimagining American society as we recover from this. I think this is a unique opportunity, and I truly believe that it's not enough for the Democratic Party to say we're the safe option, we're the return back to normalcy option. The Democrats should say, yes, Trump is an idiot, he's crazy, he's not normal in any way. But even before Trump, there were a lot of major issues in American society that are being exposed by this crisis. And we need to be bold and progressive in thinking about how we reshape the future for America and give people something to vote for. Make them affirmatively choose to vote for you, not as a defense against someone else that's even more terrible, but as an actual choice that they are excited about because they know that it will come with real change. And so hopefully, I think what has happened is with Bernie, with Elizabeth Warren, with all these progressive candidates that got a lot of energy, got a lot of votes out there, I think Biden has been listening and he's aware of the fact that the party's moved to the left and he wants to be the leader of this diverse coalition. And I think he's going to move to the left, and he already has shown that he's going to. And I think we can still push him to do more. And this crisis gives him the opportunity to justify it in a way that he may not have been able to justify it before.
He said before he will definitely pick a woman as a vice presidential candidate. How important do you think it is that that woman that he chooses be a woman of color, specifically a Black woman?
Well, I think two of the best candidates are Black women, Kamala Harris and Stacey Abrams. I personally love Stacey and have raised money for her Fair Fight organization. I love what she's doing since she lost the Georgia election. She hasn't been sulking. She's been out there working and organizing. And she's such a gifted political communicator. She's a great storyteller. I'm kind of partial to writers as presidents because I think I'm a writer, but also you saw how great Obama was at communicating with people. And I think part of it was the fact that he was a writer. And I think Stacey communicates like a writer because she is one, and she's really able to weave a great story and a great narrative around great work that she's doing. I've fundraised for Kamala Harris for the Senate, and voted for her out here in California, and love her, and I think she's got a real commitment to justice and holding this administration accountable and oversight and doing the right things. And I think she would be a great vice presidential candidate too. I think the only other candidate that's not a woman of color, I think Elizabeth Warren would be really good as well. I wanted to vote for her for president. I think she's just so good on the policy side, so thorough, so she understands possibly more than just about anybody out there how the government works and how to make it work for the people. And for someone like Biden, who doesn't seem super wonky and policy oriented, she could be a good offset for him when it comes to actually governing. I don't know which of them would be more valuable out there in the campaign. I think we overestimate the importance of vice presidents on the campaign, or vice presidential candidates on the campaign. But I think he should think about it in who will help me govern better. And I think all three of them would do a good job of helping me govern. But they have different strengths, I would say.
Look, you have an EGOT, and for people who don't know what that is, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar winner, and a Tony winner. You're Sexiest Man Alive. You graduated magna cum laude, I believe, from Penn. When are you jumping into politics, John Legend? What's up? We're gonna have Senator Legend, Commissioner Legend, something.
I honestly like the way I'm involved in politics now, and I don't know that I'd ever want to run for office. I love being involved. I love influencing the conversation. I love using my platform to amplify leaders that I believe in. Leaders that I believe in. But I don't feel like I need to run for office to do any of that, and I probably won't.
All right, we'll see. Maybe we can convince you. You and Chrissy would be a strong ticket. Before I play a little game with you and then get you out of here, I just want to get your thoughts on Bill Withers, who recently passed. You guys were friends, and I saw the collaboration, like a lot of people did, that you and Sam Smith did. A lot of us know him obviously through his music. Lean on Me, Ain't No Sunshine, so many classic anthems and hits. You knew him personally, so how will you remember Bill?
I think the coolest thing about him is he was a great storyteller. Even his emails were great storytelling. He would write through these long emails with different anecdotes in it and asides that completely get off topic but were so interesting. And he just put so much creativity and humor and thought into everything he wrote or he told you. He had such a rich life, so many different experiences. He was friends with so many other different artists and athletes and just people that we've all looked up to. I first met him after we had covered one of his songs, I Can't Write Left-Handed, on an album I did with The Roots.
I love that song, With The Roots. Oh, I love that song.
Thank you. And we did a really cool version of it. We rocked it out. Captain Kirk did this epic solo, and it was really like electric, the version that we did of the song. And he heard about it through Bill Russell. So he gets a call from Celtic legend Bill Russell. And Bill says, The Roots and John Legend just did an amazing version of your song. You should check it out. And he checked it out, and he wrote me this long email explaining how he heard about the song, talking about the conversation he and Bill Russell had, and then telling me how much he appreciated us doing his song and what it meant to him that artists like us were still listening to him and carrying his music forward. And we became friends after that. We emailed a few times. I invited him to a few shows. He's been to my house for barbecues and parties. And we just, he's a funny person. He was a great storyteller. And you heard that human connection, that storytelling ability in his music. He was one of the, they talk about Bruce Springsteen as like a blue collar songwriter that represented a certain type of person in America. And I think for Black folks, Bill Withers was that kind of blue collar, everyman songwriter that wrote songs that everybody loved and appreciated. It was a lot of the lyric was very simple, and it was told in a way that was really profound.
My producer, while you're talking, sent me a note that said that reportedly Bill Withers held the note for 18 seconds near the end of Lovely Day.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's a long hold. It is a long time. I can't do it personally.
All right. Well, before I get you out of here, John, I'm gonna play a little game with you. I play it with all my guests. It's called This or That. You get 2 choices, John. 2.
Okay.
Make a decision.
I will.
I'm priming you for that political run you swear you won't do. All right. First question here. Jim Trussell or Urban Meyer?
Urban Meyer.
You said that pretty confidently.
Yeah, they both won us one championship, but I think Urban just breathed new life into the program and made the offense way more dynamic, was a better recruiter, and just wasn't as boring. You know, Trestle ball, it was effective most of the time, but it was boring.
It was ugly though.
Yeah, it was not fun to watch sometimes.
And for those who don't know, John is from Springfield, so that's why he's a huge Ohio State.
Springfield, Ohio, just to be clear, because
Springfield, Ohio. You're right. I got to make that clear. So you or Ariana Grande? Because I think your kids might have an opinion on this.
Oh, Luna would definitely pick Ariana Grande. You know what? I think I might be back ahead of Ariana Grande, and my kids might, because
really.
It goes in waves, because it started out Daddy was everything, and then Mommy played them our version of Beauty and the Beast that we did together, me and Ariana, and then from that, Luna started to be like into Ariana, and she still loves her, but she requests me more often now than she requests Ariana, just slightly.
Ooh.
She likes
slightly.
She likes the new record a lot, and she requests me playing that. And she likes my Christmas album a lot, and she requests that a lot. Still in the middle of the spring.
Have you ever introduced her to Ariana Grande?
Yes. So we went to her show in December, and she was so excited. She was so shy though, so she was like hiding behind my leg and like crouching. She gets so super shy when she meets any of her idols. But Ariana was very sweet. We got to go backstage, and she shouted Luna out at the show because she knows that Luna loves this particular song called NASA. And when she was about to sing the song, the beat came on. She was like, "This is for Luna." And Luna didn't even process it, but I had to tell her, I was like, "Luna, she just shouted you out." And she was so happy, and she still remembers that very well.
That was very big of you to do that, because you could have lost her forever in that moment.
Exactly.
Ariana was her parent then.
Yes.
It could have been over with. Speaking of parenting, so who's the more fun parent, you or Chrissy?
Oh, Chrissy's more fun. She's more like creative, and I feel like she has her inner child is very strong still. Like she has a sense of like wonder and improvisation and exploration that I don't have as much, and it makes her really good at entertaining the kids. But I'm still very hands-on with them, but I'm just not as fun as Mom is.
So who's the better disciplinarian, you or Chrissy?
It goes back and forth. I feel like Chrissy bribes them more than I do, like with candy or like a treat of some sort. And I can get more stern, I think, more often, and strict. Like I want them to stick to their bedtime, and Chrissy's a little more relaxed about that. But she also can be really tough on them too. So I think I'm a little stricter than Mom is.
All right. was the wedding of Chloe and Nosh, Stuff Bunny and Stuff Lammed, or Family Game Night? Which one was better?
The wedding. The wedding was funny.
The wedding.
It was too funny. It was so brief. That's what was so good about it. It was like super brief, but it was really impactful and fun.
Yeah, and you guys should check that out on social media because they, John and Chrissy and the kids, they put on a wedding for Luna. It was Luna's stuffed animals, correct?
Yes, Luna's stuffed animals. This is another.
You sang at it?
I sang one of Luna's favorite songs, which is "Hands to Myself" by Selena Gomez, and it was all Chrissy's idea, of course. And Chrissy's just, like I said, she's got so much energy and like creativity when it comes to stuff like that. And she'll just do ridiculous things with them and that I would have never thought to do. And that was one of them.
In real life, you used to be a wedding singer, is that correct?
Well, I have sung at weddings.
Sing at weddings, right?
Yeah,
Before you were John Legend.
I've never been a wedding singer in the sense of like what Adam Sandler was in the movie where, you know, you're singing as the main entertainment for the reception. But I have sung at weddings, like a couple songs at a wedding while they walk down the aisle. And I still will perform occasionally at weddings now because I have so many big wedding songs. It's a lot more expensive than it used to be. But you know, I've sung All of Me while people walk down the aisle. I sang at our mutual friend D Wade and Gabby Union's wedding. I sang You and I think I sang Stay With You for that too. And I've sung at quite a few weddings in my life. Yes.
Well, it's you sort of sang at our wedding because my husband came down the aisle. He wanted his own aisle walk. And he came down the aisle to All of Me.
Amazing. So, I'm happy to have been included. I saw the pictures and videos and I was very honored to be part of it.
Yes. Yeah. And we appreciated your presence. We were lucky. We did get Music Soul Child to sing at
I love, so did he sing Love?
He did.
People use your name in vain.
And he told us, I don't know if it's true. That's not what I walked down the aisle to. I actually walked down the aisle to So Beautiful.
Oh,
because that's my favorite Music Soul Child song. But he sang Love at the reception and Don't Change. And he told us after the wedding that was the last time he was going to ever sing Love.
Oh, wow.
Believe it or not, he actually despises that song.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great song and it's very uplifting. He's like, yeah, I really am good with never singing that again. I'm like,
that's amazing to me. See, I'm not like that with any of my songs. I'm like, if people love hearing them, I want to sing them for them, you know, like I want them to be, I want to please them. I want them to be happy. And if they love a song, there's no song that I have any like bad memories about or that bring up, you know, that make me feel bad anyway, especially songs that people actually like. You know, I'm like happy people love the song and and they represent where I was in that moment in my life. And I'm never like, oh, I don't want to do that again. Even if I have done it a billion times, like All of Me, I'm gonna sing forever. And it'll always be probably my most popular song. But you know, I don't think it'll ever get old to me.
So then that means I kind of know how you're going to answer this next one. All of Me or Ordinary People?
Oh, I actually prefer Ordinary People as a song. I think I like it just a little bit more than All of Me. But I like both of them a lot. But All of Me is just more popular, so that's why I end up having to do it all the time. But Ordinary People was pretty damn popular, and I love it as a song. I think I like it just a little bit more than All of Me.
Fresh Prince or Martin?
Woo! That's interesting. Okay, I'm gonna make a choice because I have to make a choice. But they represented different moments in my life or different energies in my life. But they were both like really important. I'm gonna say I loved Martin a little bit more than Fresh Prince.
You know, the thing is, Martin's highs were so high, right? And so when they fell off, sort of like that last season or so, when things were weird between him and Tisha Campbell, it was a hard watch. But Fresh Prince, I've appreciated more later in my life because it's actually more of a complete show than I thought it was.
I should rewatch it truthfully because I haven't really watched it for real since I was a kid. And I loved it. And I think it was probably more consistent than Martin was. But I think something about Martin just captured, it was right when I was in high school and we would, all my friends, we would just sit and talk about Martin that we just had watched the night before, more so than we would talk about Fresh Prince. It was just something about it. It was like you recounted certain scenes more, the different characters he played, his little catchphrases. It just, in the moment, I felt like it was more urgent to me at the time than Fresh Prince was. But I love both of them.
The Martin had, I think, more iconic moments. Obviously, with Fresh Prince, it's why he ain't want me, Uncle Phil. You have certain moments there, but Martin had so many. Yeah, I still laugh. Like I just saw it for the first time. Like whenever I see the one where he was acting like Nino Brown, still kills me to this day. Like it's still awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel like that's what it was. Like you said, the highs were higher for Martin.
All right, and final question. The better Chrissy comeback or clapback, as the kids like to call it. When you tweeted, for those defending the anthem, do you really truly love that song? I don't, and I'm very good at singing it, like one of the best. To which she replied, settle down, you're okay at it. Or her calling Trump a pussy ass bitch.
Pussy ass bitch. Bitch.
That was just my trick to get you to say that. And he came after you as well.
Yeah, Chrissy's so good at trolling him, and I think she gets under his skin. He hates women that speak for themselves and are anything more than a pretty face, and she gets under his skin, man. And I love it. And Chrissy is the clapback queen. Of course, she's clapback to me, to the president, and everybody in between.
Yeah, no, she wants all the smoke.
Exactly.
Every single bit of it. But when the president called you boring, what did you think about that?
I was like, that's probably one of the milder things he said about anybody. So it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it could have been. I mean, I guess to him you would be boring considering he likes to pay off porn stars. But hey,
I don't even know what is his music taste? Can you imagine him just sitting down listening to music? Like,
he's probably one of the. I can't imagine what the hell would he listen to. Like it would be. You can't even base it off his supporters.
Yeah, I feel like maybe like anything that would be like a WWE song, like like things that they would play at his rallies or something. But I don't imagine him ever listening to music though, like on his own.
I could see. Yeah, I don't either. Like I don't see him. Well, one, we know for God's sake he does not work out, so we know he wouldn't be doing it there. He watches clearly a lot of television, so I don't.
Yeah, I think
really
he just watches TV all day. Yeah.
Quite sad. Hopefully, though, this run is coming to an end, so we'll see. John, thank you so much for joining me. I know that for a lot of people, everybody's lives are crazy, so for you to take this time to spend with me, I truly, truly appreciate it. So thank you so much.
It's my honor and my pleasure, and I've been listening to the show, and I've been wanting to come on for a long time, so I'm happy we were able to make it happen.
All right, anytime, and if you run for any political office, I got you as a campaign manager. All right.
Okay.
All right. John's going to get back to attending to his family. Y'all know what's coming up next. Fuck it. I'm bothered.